Jai Ma Kamakhya, Jai Matara, Jai Bhairava. So today I will be speaking about the upcoming solar eclipse that is going to happen in the month of February 2026. So this eclipse, uh, in fact, all eclipses, Grahan, as we know, and I've made videos on eclipses before as well. So it will be kind of a recap for people who are watching an eclipse video for the first time. So basically, eclipses are some of the most powerful times spiritually and for any specific kind of upasana or practice. During an eclipse, whether it's solar eclipse or lunar eclipse, when the sun is, and I'm speaking only from the astrological and the spiritual point of view, not from the astronomical point of view. So, in the Jyotishical point of view, eclipses, solar eclipses, when the sun is taken over by Rahu. It's consumed by Rahu, basically. It's covered by Rahu. Rahu is the one of the north nodes of the moon. Rahu is not exactly a graha that has a body, but it's a point. It's a calculation. So basically, Rahu is something because it does not have a body, so it can take up any shape and form, and it becomes extremely powerful, more powerful than perhaps the other grahas, especially in this age, Kali Yuga. Same with Ketu as well. So this too, when they overpower the luminaries, the sun, it becomes a solar eclipse, which happens on Amavasya always, or the lunar eclipse when they overpower the moon. What it really means is that the natural energies of the sun and moon, which are extremely vital for any kind of spiritual or material aspects of life, become subdued at that time by a different type of energy. Uh, and it's extremely potent because because the sun and the moon also represent two vital aspects in Jyotish. Sun represents your Atman, soul, or the ego for that matter. In fact, in most people, it manifests as the ego until you realize the soul, the Atman inside, or the moon, which is the mind, which is like the basis of the your horoscope. So when these two grahas are overpowered by this shadow uh, energies of Rahu and Ketu, shadow because again they don't have a physical body, but at the same time they have tendencies and that makes them extremely powerful. That which does not have a body is actually far more free to establish or govern or spread its influence in the world through multiple means and modes, and is not really confined to A or B kind of a vessel for transmitting its energy and transmitting its power. That's why these are far more powerful. In fact, invisible things, whole life, if we look at it, whole of our life are governed by non-concrete laws. If you live in a country, there are laws of the country, maybe the constitution, maybe their legal codes. So do they have any physical existence? No. They are shared common ideas among a large group of people, which are enforced by authorities. So basically, they do not have a physical body, and yet they're powerful enough to govern how you behave, how you do not behave. And if an individual is in violation of these laws, you are you can be subject to various kinds of punishments by the system. So the point is, things that do not have a physical presence but yet are able to govern and control your life are extremely powerful, and that is why Rahu and Ketu becomes such kind of intense energies. When they are able to overpower the sun and the moon, which are the two fundamental blocks of Jyotisha, uh, basically it creates an extraordinary amount of upsurge of energy which can be both good or bad. It is precisely for this reason that most temples across India would keep themselves closed during an eclipse. I mean, exception, maybe one or two temples are there, but 99% temples would keep themselves closed during an eclipse. No dharmic activities are performed. No, primarily because the energies are very, very intense in this time. On the other hand, from the tantric point of view, the tantric texts specifically mention that eclipses are very potent times for mantra sadhana, for any kind of japa or homa or any kind of spiritual practice, or even meditation for that matter, because anything that is done in eclipse gets accelerated multiple times, like 5, 6, or 10 times. The effect is acquired by the upasaka than during normal days. Now, here, when it comes to eclipse purushcharana, there are a few rules. Not all eclipses qualify for purushcharana. Purushcharana is the way in which you uh, activate a mantra by doing first japa of the mantra, then homa, then other activities, whether it's japa, homa, tarpana, and bhojanam, and all that things. But Tantras mention that specific Purushcharana can be done during an eclipse, but there are conditions. For example, the eclipse has to be visible in that space, in that area. Number two, the duration of the eclipse should not transcend from night to day or day to night, which means that if it is an eclipse that is occurring during the day, say a solar eclipse, then it should get over before the eclipse, before the sunset time. Similarly, for a lunar eclipse, it should get over before uh, the sun rises in the morning. Only then, and if you are present in that area where the eclipse is visible, then the sadhana that is done counts when it's done within certain rules of the mantra sadhana. That it counts as a purushcharana, a vishesh purushcharana that is done, and its power is as good as the effect is as good as doing an elaborate mantra sadhana of the deity. However, even if these rules are not followed completely, even if um, these rules are not activated, for example, in the eclipse that is going to happen in the month of February, uh, uh, I think it's happening in the afternoon around 3:50. We'll write down the times. The times will be mentioned in the description, exact for India at least. Um, even if the rules are not for, or even if all these conditions are not met, because this eclipse is not visible in India. So therefore, while an exact purushcharana cannot be done yet, during that period of time, any sadhana that is done automatically increases the power of the mantra or the power of whatever practice you are doing. So it's like adding to your spiritual bank balance. It's not necessary that something dramatic has to happen, but any mantra sadhana, any japa that is done in that period of time, regardless of whether the eclipse is visible or not, regardless of whether the eclipse moves from one phase of the from morning till night or night till morning, it still has a tremendous power, and the effect of that is going to get credited to your spiritual bank balance. So that is why eclipses are times to look forward to. And for those people who are able to do sadhanas, they should do practices that they have been doing. Because the eclipse is not visible in India, so therefore there are no rules of Sutak that is to be applied, which means that Sutak is basically when you do not consume food for a period of time before the eclipse. It could go up to 12 hours and 12 hours after the eclipse, those who do it very strictly. But that said, the general rules of food can be followed, which means that before you start the sadhana of the eclipse, ensure that you have consumed your food at least 1.5 to 2 hours before that, so that you don't start immediately after food when the energies are not conducive for any type of practice. Now, coming to the exact Upasana, this eclipse is happening in the Rashi of Kumbha, Aquarius, and there are multiple grahas present in this eclipse, along with an aspect from Jupiter. Uh, so, this makes it a very powerful collection of energies that are happening in this Rashi of Kumbha, which is also the natural 11th house of the Kalpurusha, the natural zodiac. So, this governs things like your friends, your family, your income, your network, things, even social media for that matter. So, this is a period of extreme energies, whenever the energies are extreme, you cannot fully predict whether it is going to be positive or negative, because each individual horoscope will also have its own variations depending on what grahas are there, Rashi, Lagna, etc. However, in general, this makes it a very potent time because of multiple grahas being together, makes it extremely potent for any type of spiritual practice at the individual level. For the national and the international level, this eclipse may turn out difficult for many governments or government functionaries or people connected to the government one way or the other. But that said, here I'm talking only about individual practices. So the first sadhana that you can do on that day is very simply light a diya at the time when the eclipse is about to start. Uh, Stay at home or any kind of confined space, whether it's in a temple. Temples might be open in this eclipse because there is no direct visibility of the eclipse in India. So in a confined space, light a diya and do 64 recitations of the Kal Bhairavashtakam. 64 recitations of the Kal Bhairavashtakam with nothing else. There's no need for any kind of naivedyam or bhog to be put. There's no need for anything to be kept outside. Simply recite it 64 times with one diya in front and pray to Kal Bhairava to give his blessings, his protection, and his guidance throughout the year to you and your close people. This is one sadhana that you can do. It's a very simple one to do and it's very effective. After the 64 counts of the Kal Bhairava Ashtakam is done, after that also, if you still want to do sadhana, then just meditate with Om Bhairavaya Namah. But that is additional. It is not uh, the first sadhana. The first part is 64 recitations of Kal Bhairavashtakam. Here I must mention one thing, that there are people who sometimes ask that Kal Bhairavashtakam has the refrain of Kashi Kapuradhinath. So instead of Kashi, if you're sitting in some other city, or it's very popular, for example, in Ujjain and other places to use Avantika Puradhinath. While there's no harm in it, but I personally prefer the original stotra as it was composed by Adi Shankaracharya, and the term Kashi more specifically, because Kashi is not just a place, a physical place, but it is also a spiritual reality inside the Upasaka. It is something that every Upasaka of the Shiva Shakti path, whoever is in the path of Shaiva Upasana or Shakti Upasana, will have to enter the state of Kashi internally. Regardless of whether you stay in physical Kashi or not, that makes no difference at all. So, therefore, Kashika Puradhinath is the correct and absolutely powerful statement that comes, refrain that comes in the original stuti, and one should ideally stick to it. And imagine that one is able to enter into the inner Kashi, the doors of which are guarded by Bhairava, because that Kashi is extremely rare and extremely spiritual and extremely, how would I put it, beyond the three gunas. So it's not easy to enter that state. But on the edge, on the border of that, on the doorways of that transition, stands Bhairava as a guardian, deciding who has the merits to enter and who should not enter. So this is the first sadhana that you can do. The second upasana that you might do is simply take a Rudraksh mala or a red Hakik mala, light one diya, and keep chanting the Tara mantra that I've given in earlier videos and that is being performed in the collective sadhana. The mantra will be mentioned again at the bottom of at the description of the video. How many counts you want to chant is up to you. You can count, you can chant this for 54 malas, or you can chant it to whatever yatha shakti, your capacity. There's no limit. If at any point you feel that you are feeling tired and you're not able to continue, you can just stop the sadhana and go out of the space, no problem. Because the actual eclipse is not happening in India, therefore these rules are much more relaxed. If you are at a place where the eclipse is actually happening, then you need to ensure that after you get out of the space, ideally take a bath and do not consume any food at least few hours before the eclipse and few hours after the eclipse is over. Ensure that you avoid using the toilet during the period of the eclipse unless there is a medical condition, in which case it is okay, or there's a child, that is fine. Avoid eating anything during the time of the eclipse unless again there's some medicine that you need to take, or there's a medical condition, that case it is fine. But this is only for those people who are staying in the area where the eclipse is visible. For people in India where the eclipse is not visible, they did not follow all these cautions. Very simply, you light a diya, you chant the Kal Bhairav Ashtam 64 times, or you light a diya and you keep chanting the Tara mantra that I've given in a video earlier and which is being done in the collective sadhana. Remember that do only this Tara mantra. There are many Tara mantras. I have already mentioned this before and I'm repeating it again. But this mantra is extremely safe and perfectly alright to do. This is as good as a Nama mantra, except that there is one small Vija that is added, and this Vija is that helps to understand the Tattva of Bhagavati Tara. This is not the Panchakshari of Tara or any of the 8 main mantras of Tara, and it is completely alright and safe to do as long as you have faith on the goddess. And there are many people I know who have done the sadhanas with this mantra and have experienced the spiritual benefits that come from it. So it's as good as taking the name of a deity, just like that Nama mantra. It's almost as good as that. So again, in this case, just do sadhana. Do not take any specific sankalpa in your mind. Do not say that I want this, that, nothing. Use a Rudrakshamala or red Hakik Mala. Keep chanting this mantra as long as you can. And whenever you feel tired or you feel that you have chanted sufficiently, you can do Samarpan of the mantra and get out of that space. Whatever sadhana that you do in this particular period of time on that day of the eclipse, given that it is a Tuesday and the eclipse is happening in the nakshatra of Dhanishta, so this sadhana will specifically either of these two upasanas will bring you a lot of spiritual blessings throughout the year. This is not a sadhana specifically for material gains, though some people may experience some certain material benefits out of this, but that's not the point of the sadhana. That is only coincidental. The main thing is to do either of these two practices so that the energy you are able to generate in this phase acts as an aid to your spiritual growth throughout the year. So with that, I'll end the video here. I hope you have a very fruitful spiritual time during the eclipse. Jai Ma Kamakhya, Jai Ma Tara, Jai Bhairava Baba.